Well, hello and welcome back. You are listening to the Your Blank What Now podcast, and I'm your host, Marcy Nettles. I am so excited for you guys to be joining us because every single one of these podcasts is all about you. It may not be your specific story, but let me tell you, once you listen, you'll see yourself in it because as we're walking through life's difficulties, they're very similar. So, what I've got for you is another story of an amazing individual that has had some difficulties in his life, but instead of breaking down, he chose to break through. And because he can, so can you. So, welcome to the Your Blank What Now podcast, where today we have a special guest. His name is Matt Wolfe. And let me tell you a little bit about Matt Wolfe before I bring him in here to share his story. So he's not just the survivor. He's actually a thriver. He's not somebody that has just gotten through something, but he's kicked its ever loving rear end. Okay. So he was practically born into the race car world, where as a young child, he worked with his dad and learned the ins and outs of building, maintaining, and racing cars around all of the different tracks. He learned the value of hard work, how to use his mind, and when to speak up. Matt learned that negativity had no place in his life. At the age of 16, Matt lost his father. So I'm not going to go any further with that part of the story, but I am so excited to be able to highlight Matt's story here on his episode. You're a cancer diagnosis. What now? So hey Matt, how you doing?
Today's a great day in North Carolina. I mean, the clouds. We had some rainstorms this morning, but I mean, the clouds are kind of cool. You know, it's like everything you see. Like Jim Cantino would be loving life right now because he'd be like, "Oh, there's that cloud, and that cloud, and that cloud." I'd be like, "Just tell me if it's going to rain. I want to go ride my bike."
Right. We're here in Arizona and we have actually been enjoying some really great monsoon storms this year,
Oh,
which we
that's
have not had many of
I
in the
miss
past
I
years.
miss those. I remember as a kid in Vegas, you'd be watching, and all of a sudden the clouds open up, and you're like, "Oh, hey, kayaking, let's go."
Well, it's the truth that this is the only time of year that weather forecasters actually have to earn their job because
Oh,
all
absolutely.
of the rest of the time it's easy. It's going to be sunny and the highs of, right?
No, they're kind of like used car salesmen. They tell you one thing and it's two things later. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's so predictable most of the time that when they actually have to rely on looking at the technology that's out there to track things, it gets a little bit silly when you try to listen to them. But let's get off of that and let's get back onto you, Matt. You're a much more interesting topic of conversation. So I'd really like to know how old were you when you were diagnosed with cancer? And why was
39.
it raw only 39? So why was it or why wasn't it a surprise to you?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, if you really want to put it into context, it was like, oh my God, there's so many answers that just happened. And yet you're
Mhm.
like, oh, ugh, I just was diagnosed. What? Because I had all of these issues from hypoglycemia at a young age. I had almost died at 19 because I went into hypoglycemic shock, and nobody realized that I had hypoglycemia. I've never really been a big sugar eater, so to speak. I mean, I get my bowl of ice cream every now and then, but like as far as just sugar goes, it just really wasn't on my radar. So, you're kind of weirded out when you get, oh, by the way, you're hypoglycemic. Well, that's diabetes, right? No, it's the other end of the spectrum. And what ended up happening was I just over the years, I had these issues and I never understood them because quite frankly, it didn't matter. I had these other important things going on in life. So um, at 35, I had pancreatic stones, and I don't know if anybody's ever had those, but it's kind of like kidney stones, but they're smaller. And what they do is they block the duct in the pancreas, and you can go argumentatively, you can go from a spike at lunch at say 330, 340 on your sugar, and then 25 minutes later, you're picking your butt off the ground, going, "What the hell just happened?" So once we got through that issue, we kind of like went off of we just played it by year. And but I always I had these weird things happening. I'd have a headache or I wouldn't feel good. And I've never been a guy to take medication. So We came back from a race one weekend, and normally Florida to Oregon, and I was living in Oregon at the time, and Florida to Oregon is the same humidity, except the pressure change is different because you're higher in latitude. And I went from a normal pressure change, kind of feeling funky for a couple of days. And normally I would ground myself. Normally I'd put my feet in the grass and just walk around, which I did, but it didn't change anything. It was weird because normally give me a couple hours, I'm right back to where I should be. And man, I just respiratory tract infection, sinus infection. 2 days later, walking pneumonia. 2 days after that, double pneumonia. And I'm like, something's wrong here. The crazy part is when you tell doctors that you want a full pano, they look at you weird. It's like, I know I don't have a medical degree. No, there's no MD behind my name, but I'm telling you, I know my body because I don't take medication to hide any of that stuff. So we had to have this little argument. I won. Woohoo!
Good
Me
for
one,
you.
Doctor Zero.
You know what? And that goes back to you knowing when to stand up and when to use your voice, right? Great job.
I used a whole lot of 4-letter words, a
I
whole
bet.
lot of them.
I bet.
And they used some back. And then there were some 3-letter words, some 4-letter words, and then we finally got the job done. And when the diagnosis came out, my doctors used some 4-letter words, started with the word "oh" and went, "Oh, whoa."
Could you imagine if you had just gone home and gone off of what they said was the no to the pano, right? We don't need
Yeah.
to investigate because you don't got it.
Well,
Yeah.
and you didn't tell anybody what the cancer was. So I'm gonna
No,
when you
that's
get
for you. That's up to you, my friend. You go for that.
so sit down, people, because here you go. Your doctor walks in the room and says, "Hey, you have pancreatic cancer." Boom. That's a death sentence for 99.5% of people. And I went, excuse me? And they go, "Yep, here's your numbers." And I looked at all because I had learned how to do blood work and all the above. And I'm looking at all these things. And, to be very honest with you, Marcy, I went, all of these things that had been going on in my life all made sense. It was answers. And I'm always, my dad was a nuclear engineer. I'm a motorsports engineer, and we do everything data driven. So when you finally get this, some people call it a diagnosis. I call it an answer. When you can get an answer that gets you through tomorrow, then it makes every decision you make easier. And, I had to go through this shock of like, my life's about to change. Don't know how, don't know when, don't know why, but I'm going to have to get a lot of people on my side. So I took all my information, called my doctor in Vegas. I flew from Oregon to Vegas, and we walked in a room to have a medical consult. And the first thing I told anybody was, if you have chemo or radiation written on your pad, get out. I had 3 doctors that were going to be on the team walk out. And the last guy poked his head back in and said, "Good luck with that. You're going to die." I know a Kid Rock song that's pretty awesome. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that song, put this into a cancer treatment, and cancer's never met a guy like me. That's really what this comes down to, because I strongly believe that Western medicine has its place, but there's no place for it in my world. And I knew way too many people in the homeopathic world that we started on some stuff very quickly. And the interesting thing is there's a protocol to launch up some things. And I told my friends that that all came aboard on this deal. And I said, listen, this is the ramp up. I don't have time for ramp up. So I am willing to accept the fact that I'm going to be, some people get irritable on a diet. I get hangry. I get these things. Well, in my case, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I know this, I didn't have time. So I had to, what would be a stage 5 protocol. I would said, let's do that. And then I can back it off accordingly, because I'm one of those people that I'd rather go to the other end, figure out where we can't go, and then back it up to a point we can go, instead of trying to ramp it up slowly. Because on one hand, I don't have time. The other hand, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. I'm from Vegas. Always bet on black. Let's go. So we start this process, and I can tell you this much. There was days I was angry. There was days I was hangry. There was days I didn't eat. There was days I didn't go to the bathroom. There was days that really you just felt the lowest of lows, the highest of highs. But I knew that my alternative was chemo and radiation. And that's a death sentence. That right there is a death sentence. And I would rather take my diagnosis, go the natural route, and be slightly irritable, and then have to apologize to my friends, than sitting with a chemo bag in my arm, go through radiation on the top of that, and have no immune system to fight this fight.
Right. Right. So do you think that losing your dad at such a young age, it helped prepare you to be as strong as you were and being willing to stand up for yourself, being your own self advocate? I mean, because there seriously, not very many people know how to, first of all, use their voice when they're in the room with doctors that are supposed to know what is supposed to happen next, right? And to be able to advocate for a natural process instead of the medical.
Well, on one side, I mean, pancreatic cancer is pretty much a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Which you talk to any medical doctor, and they're going to try to put you through a Whipple procedure. And for what people don't understand about a Whipple, so you're like, hey, that's a wiffle ball. No, Whipple. Whipple was the guy that designed the surgery. What they do is they do a chevron pattern underneath your rib cage, cut through your muscles, all the above. They basically open you up because that's where the neck of the pancreas is. You either have your pancreatic cancer is in two locations. It's either in the neck or the body. The neck goes into the intestine. Usually if it's there, that you've got 2 inches in the pancreas that you can cut out and play with. But unfortunately, you can't do that much moving around without having to cut the core of yourself up. You're going to be in a clamshell. You're going to look like a Ninja Turtle for 6 months. You have to have somebody do everything for you, including the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You better have a friend you like for a helping hand, because you're gonna get very friendly with those people. But I just couldn't see. I had it all scheduled out at Mayo, and our numbers started getting so well. But there's a quick little story to that. When we started this treatment, I'm one of those people, because I educate myself. My dad had always taught me, hey, you got to understand the pros, the cons. I call it a Genesis effect. With us being in racing, you're driving race cars, and on the inside, it's all cool, calm, and collected because you're 100% in control. When you're on the fan side, a race car goes flying by you, it looks like complete chaos. But then there's this overhead view, what I call the camera angle. And when the camera is seeing things, it's seeing the reaction of the crowd, it's seeing the driver, it's seeing all these things, but it gives you an overall view of what's going on. So when we decided to go down this treatment route, and now mind you, back up, we went basically to what a stage 5 patient would be, which is complete and utter chaos.
Yeah.
And we put it into perspective to where we could at least understand it and go that route. But we went into this deal 30 days. And now, mind you, my numbers are still creeping up according to my blood work. And we're just trying to combat this thing. It's a 12-round fight with Mike Tyson, and we're only through the first round. Well, I go to Vegas to do my scans, and my scans include a PET scan, an MRI, a CT scan, and an ultrasound. The ultrasound takes care of your organs. The PET scan is obviously your cancer side, but the CT scan and the MRI is to make sure that everything else in the body is still, you're covering all of your bases, is what you're covering.
Right.
And we get through the scan. Now, mind you, I'm also doing an A1C lab, and I'm doing a regular mineral lab to make sure that my minerals are staying on point, figure out what my A1Cs are. And pancreatic cancer, your CA number, it's breast cancer is like a CA 125, mine's a 19A. So at the end of the day, you gotta get through your number, and that number that they have, that threshold, is 137, or I'm sorry, 37. And as long as you're down below 37, everybody's got a cancer gene in their body, but they want you to be at least 10 points below 37 so you don't ever fall back out of remission. Well, we did our numbers, and my first set of numbers was in the 400s.
Wow.
And we're starting to bring this thing down and down, and we got all these things going on, and we get to the first set of scans, we go through the first blood, and we get our labs back, and everything's on the table. And my doctor looks at me and goes, hey, the needle's not moving.
How much time?
eh,
How much time passed between the first set of scans where you were at 400 and then when they came back and wanted to do that second where he said nothing had moved?
29 days.
29 days. Okay. Thank you.
Now, here's the crazy part. I'm mad.
Of course you are.
I just got done killing myself and the needle stopped. And my doctor looks at me and goes, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're doing something that nobody else has done. Your needle is no longer moving. It's not even bending. It is stopped. You have literally stopped the train. You're Superman. You have stopped the speeding train with a bullet." And you're mad. Yep. Because the amount of work I put into it should show the result. He goes, "You're not dying." Well, you're dying, but you're
Yeah.
not dying.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
like, so what do we do from here? He goes, "I don't know what the hell you just did, but you need to do that again." And I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, you know what?
Because I,
I can't even imagine what it would be like putting yourself through the protocol that you were going through for that 29 days and then looking at doing it again. I have to ask, Matt, I mean, you couldn't have done this on your own. Who did you have that was there for you? Or did you have people like jumping out of your life left and right?
well, here was the crazy thing. So you get diagnosed and you got to call people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've known you guys like a year and a half now. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys came in on
Yes.
like the middle end of this, like in the middle of it, and you kind of like at bay, like, "Hey, keep us in touch and see how you're doing." And I've had more conversations with your husband than I have you. And then by the grapevine, you're like, "Wow, this is crazy. Like, how can you just sit back and watch this?" And like, what can we do to help? Because your husband's talented, and if nobody knows who he is, they really need to look him up because he's the man.
He is.
And those are the types of people who came into my life. But here's the trick. This is what if I could express anything out of this podcast today, would be, in order for you to have this much success in a dire situation, you cannot and you should not have any negativity in your life. The problem with negativity and drama, and we'll call it the Kardashians and all the stuff you see on Bravo and all that TV crap that goes on, is it is truly drama.
Hmm.
Well, when you have drama in your life, it takes away little fragments of you being able to maintain positivity, you maintaining focus. And there's some people that I would have bet the farm on. I mean, bet the farm that they would be here today. Nope,
And we're
they're
talking
gone.
about that they would be there supporting you, not that they'd be on this planet, but that they would be there supporting
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah. Like
And they're gone.
we're talking people that would be right here going, "Hey, you want a margarita right now?" I'd be like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
blend me one up." No, these people are gone. But here's the crazy part: it's a 5-to-1 ratio. If anybody, 5-to-1, Marcy, I got rid of one negative person and 5 positive people showed up. Now,
Wow.
I'm not talking like, "Hey, how you doing? Can we do something for you?" I mean, showed up. "Hey, we got something for you. We're on your side." And the ironic thing about all of this is I had already had and knew about some technology that was available, but the technology that became available to me and the people who operate that technology are the real reason I'm here today.
Okay. So that leads into this. So exactly how did this new age of technology and natural healing, over the chemo and the radiation that most people are used to thinking that's how you treat cancer, how did that play a role in you being in remission?
Well, so people have to understand, the biggest thing is pH. That's one of the biggest things. And you're an advocate of that, of understanding, when your body can live in a state of pH. Our bodies are very acidic; they eat themselves.
Mhm.
But that's just because we have so many toxins and things going on that we don't have the ability uh, to understand and comprehend what it actually takes and what we're eating. So if you can oxygenate your blood, get yourself hydrated, your body detoxes better. It operates minerals better. It pulls things out of, nutrients come to you better. And when you can add nutrients with technology, and you can add all of these things that just give you natural energy with the technology to enhance the energy, then not only do you got positive people helping you out, but then you got positive things happening inside of you. And anybody knows that disease can't live in an oxygenated state. It's just not physically possible. That's written law. You can look that up on anything. And disease or irritants or things in life that are just bad. Because we're trying to put this into crayon for people who don't understand A1Cs and labs and all the above.
Right.
Bad things can't live in an oxygenated state. That's why, like in some water treatment places, they use chlorine and all the above. Well, that's because just they don't oxygenate the water. You go to Paris, they oxygenate the water. Holy cow, there's nothing in the water in Paris. That's some of the best water in the world. Well, that right there is what's happening inside your body. When you can oxygenate the blood, you can detox the body, you can do all these things. The natural treatment happens faster, happens better. And that's what we did. We got to the point where it was like, what does the body need? We looked at our labs, we looked at some technology, we did some PMF, which is electromagnetic therapy. We did a CVAC machine, which oxygenates the blood because it's an atmospheric pressure change. That you ever sat there and you're sitting on the couch and all of a sudden you're like, you get that deep breath because you're just like, you're engulfed in something, engaged in something, your body forgets to breathe. And then all of a sudden you're just like, well, that's a Cialic breath. That thing just takes so much oxygen out of the air and just supersedes it into the blood. Well, this machine does it for you. So between electromagnetic therapy, high pH water, and being able to put these technologies in place in certain times and places allowed me the opportunity to have this meeting with you today.
That's amazing. I mean, seriously, it's overall. And what's really awesome is that the things that you used and focused on to help you fight cancer naturally are things that every single regular person that's healthy should be doing in their lives at some level to
Well,
maintain their health and to prolong their health span.
well, when you ask people, you guys have had this conversation many times with people. You go to tell them, it's like, hey, I want a bottle of water. Oh yeah, you just get something off the shelf, or a Dasani or Aquafina, and you're like, no, because minerals, your body will find minerals that it's missing. And here's the crazy thing about water. Water will take away minerals. Water's very powerful. If water doesn't have enough minerals in it, it will go seek them out. It's like centipede in for an Atari. So if you're drinking a low pH water, if it's missing minerals, say selenium, iron, magnesium, like on the bottle it says added minerals for taste, blah, 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 you're drinking the wrong water. If you're getting like Essentia or Life Water or Body Armor, that's all 9+. The natural state of a human being where you're neutral is 7.4. We're drinking waters that are 5.4. We're talking basically glorified tap water that have added minerals for taste. Well, if your body is already lacking minerals and you're drinking water and the water's taking the minerals that you're lacking, your body has no way to heal itself. The body is smarter than any human being standing here. It will do its own thing. It's its own microcosm. It's its own environment. And if you don't play nice with it, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to win. That's why all these chemos and radiations, they kill the immune system. They do all these things. It's like, that's not playing nice. Just learn to live in this harmonious state, but educate yourself on what water you're drinking, what food you're eating. Like, grocery shopping. You don't shop the inside of the store anymore. You shop the outside.
But Matt, you know what we hear all the time? We hear, but that's so expensive. It costs so much to buy organic or to get alkaline water. It costs so much to live that way, where I don't think people take into account the cost it will be when they get sick.
Well,
Go ahead.
you're a prime example.
Yes.
You are a microcosm of exactly what we're talking about right now. So you could put an exclamation mark on this point right here. How much do you think your life is worth?
My life is worth living every single day at the highest level I possibly can, putting the best food, the best water, getting the most movement, and the best sleep that I possibly can every single day. And being willing,
Bingo.
yes, being willing to pay for it on a daily basis. And the thing is that if we break it down one day at a time, it's a heck of a lot less expensive than what you paid to fight cancer.
Yes, but
Yes.
hold on. I'm going to give you a number here, and I don't want to scare people, but we're being real here.
Yeah.
My chemo bag, I'm a cash patient because insurance, because when you don't do cancer on an insurance side of things, it becomes quote unquote elective.
Right.
I mean, I'm not, I can't use any 4-letter words, but that's bullshit when it becomes elective.
Right. Right.
Like your life has now become elective.
Yeah.
You are forced to go down a path that you can't afford. You can't afford the check that your ass can't cash. I mean, this is how bad it is. And so I'm a cash patient. We got a deal worked out for all my scans, and anybody who's had an MRI, a CT, a PET scan, an ultrasound, they know how expensive those are. Times 4, times once a month. Then your labs on top of that, times 2, times once a month. I have 6 procedures every month. You know what? I think an organic banana for 78 cents a pound is pretty cheap right now, right?
Right.
My
Right.
uh my $2 bottle of water, I'll take a case of them, please.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's systems that you can buy and put in your house and all that, but people go, oh, $500 for a water system, or my veggie bill was $37 at the store. I just spent $1.6 billion, people, to stay here and have this podcast with you all. And you're worried about a 98-cent banana. No, I'm
No.
sorry. There are
Yeah.
so many things that you could do for yourself. That theory, you neglect your health to make wealth, the first half of your body.
The first half of
And,
your life.
and yeah, what I say, body. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all good.
And then the other half of your life, you spend your wealth on your health, and you don't live life.
Exactly.
And I really, really, I don't. If we could educate people on how to truly understand their body, the foods they eat, the fluids they drink, and the lifestyle they keep. If you could take all the negativity out of all of that, simplify it. I mean, really, really honest to God. Like if we could educate people with the etch a sketch, because that's what some people only can comprehend,
We
and you
try.
can give them, and you can give them a path. Here you go. Here's your crib notes. Here's the answers to the test. Follow this key. And I guarantee you will lose weight, be happier, have less hangry moments, because now you're eating the proper foods, getting the proper nutrition, and your body's not craving crap. Then put people around you that support it, because that's half the problem is, it's one person makes an idea, but the second person agrees with it. It's not the first person who's the asshole there. It's the second guy who said it. It's like, no, those people right there, you don't need either one of them. People have to be within your circle, and they have to support the things that are going on. But at the same token, you have to support their efforts as well. It's a two-way street. And when you can surround yourself with nothing but good things, salt of the earth, when salt of the earth happens, healing happens just as fast.
Amen. Amen. If we could even just give people the analogy that this body that you've been given to live this life in, you need to treat it like a high performance vehicle, because that's exactly what it is. And Matt, you know what it takes to keep a high performance vehicle functioning at its highest level. It's not inexpensive, but it's absolutely worth it when you cross that finish
Oh,
line.
it's interesting. People people are just stubborn. They're just, and I don't want to use the word ignorance, but you you truly, and it's society. It's the way society has been brought up in the last 15 years. Well, am I off base there? About 15 years now,
At
maybe
least, yeah,
20.
maybe 20. Mhm.
when I was a kid, dad said, hey, you got to go work for a living. You got to, 13-year-olds don't work anymore. 16-year-old. Hell, we got people going to college that don't work anymore. And then they get a degree and they just want to go right out in the world. Well, like nutritionists are, and psychologists. I had to go through a psychologist too. You got people who have a degree who have never actually lived this. You have nutritionists that are telling you have to do this, this, and this, but they've never once read a lab. They've never asked for a lab. So if your nutritionist goes, hey, we need to do this, this, and this, but they've never asked you to go get blood work to see what your mineral levels are, find a new nutritionist. If you got to go through some psychiatric help, the first thing you ask them, mental health is just as important as physical health. If you get to your, whoever, you want to talk to somebody for some things, the first thing you need to verify is if they're going through the same shit you are. Because if they haven't done that, then they can't relate. They're going to tell you what they're telling you think you need to do. But I'm telling you right now, if they have never lived it, if there's somebody who's telling you how to go through cancer who's never lived it, run as fast as you possibly can to the other side of it. And if they're telling you at the store to do it, run to the vegetable section.
Absolutely. The outer walls. Go to the outer walls.
Yes.
That's where all the
run
fresh
and hide.
Yeah. Okay. So Matt, because you are someone that knows that there is no place for negativity, I really want to hear from you how serving others helped you through your battle against cancer. And what are you doing now? Because I want you to share your bouncy ball project.
Oh, that's okay. So
Yeah.
you want me to say,
We're kind of we're segueing a little
wow.
bit because the thing is that that's what's amazing about your journey though, Matt, is that you didn't just sit there and focus on you fighting cancer. That's not what you were.
So hope. I mean, if someone says, hey, I hope you have a great day. If you know the English language, I just gave you just this short line, sidestep that gotta go. It's kind of disingenuous sometimes. I hope you have a great day. Well, if you know the English language, hope is waiting. Literally, it's waiting. But the problem is there's really no positive message or way to measure what hope is. Hey, how do you measure hope? Let me go get a fishing scale. Hey, my hope is, this big. Well, it's just like another fishing story. Well, hope, in my opinion, is the amount of positive energy you put into something, you get out. It's really honest. It's kind of like karma. You treat somebody well, you get that back. It doesn't matter if it's a little old lady across the street or you're trying to help somebody in need. They got a little sign that says, hey, I'm short on some cash. Can I get some help? And, it's legit, not the people that are just, they misspelled their sign on the street corner type of person. But I needed a way, because I'm the engineering mindset. I'm like, I really need to figure out a way to explain hope in crayon to people that they get it, they understand it. So my pastor in my church gave this sermon 7-8 years ago, and he's talking about this bouncy ball, and it just hit home. So the Reader's Digest version of the bouncy ball is anybody who knows inertia and object in motion stays in motion until equal or acted upon by a lesser force knows what a bouncy ball does when you throw the thing on the ground. It just keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, if you take the 5-to-1 ratio that I told you earlier, and you go, hey, I'm going to get rid of one negative person and I'm going to gain 5 positive people. Well, that's bouncing. That's your ball bouncing right there. So people go through these ups and downs and valleys, and you have a choice. You can either stay in the drama and in the valley, or you can start climbing yourself up to the highest peak. Well, the ball does the same thing. Take the negative that's going on in your life, and you can continue to sit in that simmer of negativity and crap going on, or you can take your bouncy ball, you can bounce that thing, and you can just let that thing keep bouncing. Because the harder you put positive energy into something, it's going to go high. The ball is going to go higher. Well, the amount of positive energy you put in it determines how high the ball goes, and that determines how long it needs to come back down to hit the ground. But when it hits the ground, it's going to go up just, another 3/4 of the way it was. Well, you need to make decisions. You need to calculate information. You need to compile all of these things, and you need to make a decision. So when something negative happens, take your ball, bounce it on the ground, and start making decisions based on how much positive energy you put into it. Keep your ball bouncing, and negativity can't hit a moving target. Period.
Amen. No, that's
Period.
an exclamation point. Exclamation
Yeah.
point. So Matt, so I want you to share then, during this time that you were going through the cancer treatment, you know, you did a lot of good for a lot of people. And I know you don't like to, you know, to blow your own horn and all that kind of stuff,
Really?
but I want
Come
you,
on, Marcy.
I want you to share what you accomplished when you weren't focusing on you. You were focusing on the positive energy.
Man, I still don't even focus on that stuff. I get emails every day that say thank you and all this fun stuff. And you know, the short story of it is we created Project Bouncy Ball. And if it wasn't for a friend of mine, Maria up in Canada, she was running the Calgary Zoo at the time, which is the same type of, you know, entertainment value that is like Busch Gardens or SeaWorld here in the States. And you know, she had been looking for some things to put in their bags up there, and she had knew that my bouncy ball was important, because if you go all the way back to when I was sick, I had a list of people I wanted to chat with. And you can't talk to everybody in person, but it got to the point where people would call me that were on the list, but they were down the list, not because they're less important. It was just, I had a list of people that I needed to get through, and they happened to call before I got to them. Well, I just got so taxed with that. It was actually keeping me up at night, because I'd have people call me, I'm dying, and they go, hey, you know, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. But if I'm not here tomorrow, they go, I just talked to him yesterday. Well, that's disingenuous. Your friends are supposed to know exactly what's going on. You can't sugarcoat bullshit. You can't do it.
Amen.
If you're a true friend. So I just got to the point where I said, you know what? I need to make a video. And in that video, I brought out my bouncy ball at the tail end of it. And my dumbass, brilliant as I am, said, hey, if you need a ball, call me. If email me, text me, here's my phone number. Well, I hung up the phone. I hit post. I walked away, and Maria calls me up and goes, hey, you need to look at your posts. Why, Maria? Today I'm a little busy and I really don't feel good. She goes, no, I think you need to look at your posts. 7,000 requests for bouncy balls.
Wow.
She goes, hey, think you got yourself a foundation. Now, mind you, I was playing around with the Matt Wolfe Foundation, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do all these things for different people, because I needed to be able to help people to take my mind off my own shit. Who does that? You need to take care of yourself. Me, I'm like, nope, I need to take care of other people, because it's going to be the only way. It's going to be the only way that I can not focus, because I called the office and said, hey guys, you're on your own. I'm not coming into the office. I'm going to concentrate on myself. I had to get my affairs in order. But for me to just stay focused and knowing that there's a bigger picture here, is the amount of good people that were coming into my life, I still needed something for me, because I couldn't go racing. I couldn't do the things that my entire life has been about, because I don't know that I had the stamina to do it. If I stay close to home, figure out a way to help some people, then that at least gives me the challenge that I need every day. But I know if I decide that I need a couple hours rest or do whatever, I'm not dedicating time to people and letting people down when I can't fulfill the agreement. So first thing you got to do is you got to come up with something that fits the need, fits the bill. The second, that's whether it's education, it's health, it's nutrition. You have to figure what your body needs, and you have to figure out what fits the bill, and you have to do it. The next thing you need to do is you need to fill yourself with positive people. After you get the positivity back up, then you have to figure out a project that not only keeps track of your own self-worth, but also helps people in the process, whether it's education or help them make ends meet, or whatever the situation may be. You have to make it bigger than yourself, because the moment you become selfish in your own regard is the moment you lose your friends as well. So there's all these things that you have to balance, but it's really simple. Keep it positive, and negativity can't hit a moving target.
Amen. Amen. So I'm going to go back to it because I know that you don't want to, but so when did you start Project Bouncy Ball?
We
And
started it in June of, it is basically 3 months. And that in that 3 months was basically getting myself situated. And then when we pulled the trigger on it, it seemed like the next 10 months seemed to just fly by.
so
Fly
you
by.
so you got your diagnosis like in February, March?
It was the end of February. It was really the last 2 days of February, but March 6th is the day where I compiled all the information and then let it loose.
And what year was that?
19.
Okay. So we're talking about not even, I mean, just barely over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Just barely over 2 years ago. And so in that amount of time, how many people have you served in what function? I want to know. I mean, because I know you fed children from school, you know, the evening meal that they don't get at school. I know that you guys have responded to all kinds of disasters, whether it's been storms or fires. I mean, I know you've done so much stuff. Can you just give us a rundown? I know that you've got some of it in your head, maybe, but probably not all of it. I just want people, and the reason why I want this is because I want people to know the impact that you can make. I'm not even talking about Matt's impact right now, even though it was pretty awesome, but the impact that you can make personally right now while you're in your
I,
difficult time. You can change the
I,
world right now.
I'm smirking at you right now. The
Go
word that
ahead.
comes to word is no.
Oh
So
gosh.
write this down, people. Just so you, because this list is, I'm proud of this list. We served 108,000 kids through COVID, meals that the school district and the state and federal helped out with, but they never had a dinner program. So they get breakfast from school, they get lunch from school, but they had no dinner. So we did 108,000 meals in COVID, less than a year, 108,000 meals. We did over $75,000 in teacher support. That number has gone up, and the, the exact number. Sorry about that. I'm out on the porch. The that exact number is still a calculated number every day. The wheels just go. We did 20. I have a program called Project Light Switch, and that is a PTSD program for first responders and military. And what that's an adrenaline based program. So we do race car driving and skydiving and skeet shooting and paintballing, and we do all these craziness to be able to keep the adrenaline up. But at the end of the day, we sit down, we have a nice steak, and we eat around a bonfire, and we just get real. Like we explain to people it's okay for you to be trained to do bad things, but when you come home and you make that exchange with your family, you have a different army that you're part of, whether it's your first responder and you just got done on a bad beat. And there's all this police negativity and things going on, and anybody who dons a weapon, a uniform, a badge, and stands a post, those people we need to thank every day.
Yes.
And because that they keep us protected. And the problem is nobody knows what they're going through. So when they get home at night, you don't know if they're crying or suicidal, or there's 22 vets a day losing their lives because they just can't deal with real life. Well, we tell them it's okay to do these things. That's what you're trained to do. That's your daily job. You are way better than we are, because I'm not going to get in a bullet. No way. But when you come home and your daughter, wants to have a tea party and put some makeup on, then you better look good and blush, because having a tea party with a bunch of makeup on is, those are the things that they live for as kids. Those are the things that they're going to remember when we're no longer around. And there's people that can't even comprehend that. They can't even go to the grocery store. They can't hear a sound. They can't do all these things. So PTSD is real personal to me. And with my dad being Navy, you got to take care of the people who take care of you. So between kids and teachers and military people and first responders, I just named the three major things that are wrong in the world. And I had a very small part of doing that. And these bouncy balls, I sold them for $10 a piece. And on top of all of this other things that we did, I get a phone call from the Houston Food Bank, who's this amazing group of people. And They said, hey, can you help out? Yeah, absolutely. I know a bunch of people we can help. We sent a whole bunch of people there. And then all of a sudden on our own, we got together with Lucas Oil and Cisco Foods and a list of, we had Dave's awesome bread, and we had, M&Ms and Starburst and Body Armor, and all these people, all these corporate people came aboard to see what we were doing. And again, you get rid of one negative person and 5 people show up. Well, holy shit, they stacked up a bus. They just kept unloading things to us. And we did 8 million pounds of support for all the hurricane efforts last year.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing.
So
Serious.
when you said you don't want to, when I don't want to talk about it, it's like there's a lot of math in there that just and it all comes down to people wanting the simple little toy. This bouncy ball is, we've all been, I guarantee, that's just face it, man. We've all done some messed up stuff in our day, and we try to make our wives and significant others feel better. And we order all these flowers, and sometimes they're nauseous because you don't pull the pollen pops out of them, and you're mad at them for 10 days. But you get them, they're beautiful, they smell great, probably because you didn't use any Febreze on the couch. You're liking the scent change in your house. And then 3 days later, they're dead.
Right.
You spent 60, 70 bucks on flowers, a card that says, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again, blah, blah, blah. And then yet 60 bucks just went out the door. Well, I've had people order hundreds of balls at a time. I have had corporations that I've done engagements with that said, hey, we want to order one for all of our group, all of our employees. And it's a group session. Like this is something that we can do as a team building event. And all of a sudden these balls just start flying out the door, and I can't keep them in stock. 385,000 balls went out my shop door last year. Wow. And yet in the last 10 minutes, neither one of us have talked about cancer.
Nope. Because we're focused on something else.
That's therapy. That's healing.
Amen.
That is what life is about when you are going through the gravest thing that anybody can ever go through. Because brain cancer, bone cancer, and pancreatic cancer are death sentences. Death. You can talk about 14, 15 other cancers that go on. And, you look at all of these charities. When I started this charity, I wanted to make sure that 100%, not an administrative person, none of this crap that, a lot of these other charities go through. I wanted 100% of every dollar that came in on Project Bouncy Ball to go right back to the community. We do not have a single employee on staff. There is not a single expenditure for somebody's staff. It is 100% volunteered. It is 100% paid for. It is 100% taken care of. And there is not a single person who takes a dime out of this place. There are well-known foundations that are on 2%, 5%, 8%. And the crazy part is the number one charity in the entire country is Salvation Army. And even on their best day, 84% is still given back to the community because they have 16% administrative costs. Well, when you start a foundation, you have to actually tell the tax man how much you're going to carry over. And they carry over 4%. So when they carry over 4%, that means 88 cents. If you add the 4% to the 84, 88 cents of every dollar Salvation Army does goes back to the community, and 12% is covered by administrative costs. I can name some other ones, but we're not going to. But that's just an example of what truly you're paying for when you go to charity. And you have all these things that people go, oh, man, I feel it's a feel good. Mm-hmm. I felt better about myself because I helped out a charity. But do you really know where the money goes?
Right. Yeah, I think that's really important. It's another place where people need to educate themselves.
And in this case, you get a bouncy ball for $10. You know that minus the cost of the bouncy ball, it goes 100% goes to deal. And then you look at the staggering numbers. 8 million pounds of support, 108,000 meals, 27 people through a PTSD and program. It cost us $2,000 to send a PTSD member through our program, and we're doing 10 at a time. That's hotels, flights, free of charge. Hotels, flights, all the activities that we do. We're not asking people to cover these expenses for us as far as, donating and all the above. It's like, hey, this is what it truly costs to help people. And if those people want to come aboard and help out and donate services and do those things, great. But at the end of the day, all of these things cost something. They cost time, they cost money, and they cost relationships.
Yes.
Sometimes those things don't relate. But at the end of the day, you can't sugarcoat crap. You have to say it real.
For
It has
real.
to be. You have to keep it real. You have to understand that, hey, fairy tales. It's not fairy dust and Cinderella, turns into a pumpkin at midnight. It's like, you really have to get down to brass tacks and go, what does this shit actually cost? Whether it's cancer treatment, it's the health and wealth of your of what you have going on. Do you actually have the money to help yourself healthy wise? Can you afford it? How can what is your life worth? I mean, you have to look at health, nutrition, the things you do in your lifestyle. All of these things cost something, and people want to sugarcoat it and not talk about it. And yet, when you can put positive things in your life and you have technology that comes your way or people who come your way, again, that's a relationship. You get technology that comes your way, that's a cost. But yet, at the end of the day, you still have to be able to put your head at night, and you have to know that you were the very best person you could be in the 86,400 seconds that was given to you today. And you have to know that, hey, I enjoyed the sunset, but tomorrow morning I'm going to appreciate the sunrise. But at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, it costs time, it costs money, and it costs relationships. And if you can keep all three of those things on a positive platform, you're going to make it to tomorrow, the day after that, and the day after that. Because when you're doing good things for the world, I related it to this. You had sent me a question, and it was ironic that you had sent this one question. You said that you had to go through a really bad place in order for you to get to a good one. And I kind of sidetracked that question for you. I said, hey, we don't really need to do that. But if I'm going to answer that question, because you took the time to you put a lot of thought into that. You don't do anything half-assed. That's for fact. So for you to, I'm going to answer that question for you, Marcy.
Okay.
That question is this. Some of us are religious, some of us are not. Some of us believe in a higher power. Some of us have all of these things that, I believe in karma because I did 10 good things and, I should get one back. Well, nope, that's just being a good person. I strongly believe, and I'm non-denominational Christian, but I don't care who your higher power is. There's always somebody overlooking us. You don't necessarily have to go to church. You don't have to, be a Bible thumper, but I strongly believe that the higher power that's looking over us, they only meet you halfway. I'm going to end it with this. I met that dude at the door because when he opened up to get the paper in the morning, he had to step over me to get the damn paper. I wasn't going to let it to somebody else. I wasn't going to let my health in somebody else's hands. I wasn't going to put my nutrition into somebody else's hands. I was not going to put my negativity into somebody else's hands. My hands still work. My brain's still functionable. I still have things I want to do in life. I have a different bucket list than I did 2 years ago when I got sick. I now am a better person sitting here having this discussion with you than I was 2 years ago. And I wasn't an asshole then. I'm definitely not an asshole now.
No.
But the point being is when you have something that gets thrown at you, you have two choices. You can either look at all the negativity that's going around, or you can be positive and keep your ball bouncing.
Absolutely. And with that, Matt, can you please let our audience know how they can follow you, how they can connect with you, or how they can actually join your project? It's a movement.
Project Bouncy Ball. It's very simple. ProjectBouncyBall.com. We have a lot of things that we continue to put into play. we are now making a change. And this is, if I can just make an announcement here, this would be cool.
Sure.
Our four cornerstones of what we did with helping teachers and students and teachers and money and all the above have all been fantastic. But since my remission and what we've gone through, and we didn't even talk about the prostate side of things, which is a whole nother segment in itself. We're just going to leave it at what it is right now. But the situation is, I get phone calls day in and day out, emails, text messages, Facebook, Instagram, of all of these things of, hey, how can I, change my nutrition? How can I meet up with the people that are within your technology circle? How can I help my friends and family who are going through some of the things that I am, because they've been about killed going the Western medicine route, and people are upset about that. And I can't fix them being upset, because they got pulled down a rabbit hole, because that's what Western medicine is. It's a lot of cash flow, and there's places for it and there's not. But at the end of the day, the foundation kept talking to me and talking to me and talking to me, and things just kept coming. So I made a change. As much as I love the programs that we had, we are now shifting gears to be 100% nutrition-based foundation. And what we're doing is we are educating people and putting things in place that give people a path to be able to educate and understand and go somewhere that they can get the help they need without the Western medicine side. We are putting things in place with marketing partners that educate people on food, water, nutrition, health, mental well-being. We are trying to put together a group of people and a group of things that make life simple for people. Hey, I have some cancer going on. I'm in remission, but I don't know how to maintain a diet. I have some mental issues that we need to address. How can I put the proper people in place? Boom, we got you covered. At the end of the day, because of all of these things that have happened and all these good people that keep coming into my life, it would be totally disingenuous of me to continue to help people when there's programs in place for that. And yet you have all of these other people calling that are asking you for the exact same thing that you just went through, and you are neglecting them by not addressing that simple fact of, hey, you just went through this. You have information to give. Why can't I get it? Well, we're now going to make it available. So right now we're twisting some things up. We are making things possible. And Project Bouncy Ball is going to be a place where if you have an issue, whether it's health or wealth or mental well-being, you're going to be able to get an answer. It's going to be simple. It's going to be easy. We're going to put you in line with people, and you are going to come to a place that the information you get is simple, it's accurate, and it's effective. Because right now there's not a lot of that around.
Awesome.
So as much as we have had fun and we have helped so many other people doing things in the community and being community support, we now have a new mission, which is bigger than what it was before. We have now just taken all of that as a stepping stone. We have taken all of that, put it into one big giant bouncy ball, and we have just started bouncing as hard and as fast as we can. But right now we just don't have time. That's our biggest problem. We are fighting time at the moment.
Yeah.
All these people are in place. We just haven't had time to put it all together in the package that we want to do it, but it is slowly coming where we need it to be. And, we're still going to sell bouncy balls. We're still going to keep balls coming. That's going to be the cornerstone, but we got some tournaments and some things that we're going to do to be able to do some fundraising. But everybody that will be in any fundraiser that we do as a marketing partner will all be health and wellness related. There won't be any alcohol. There won't be any, those things pay the bills and do those things, but we're not living up to what we're trying to portray here. That just makes us that's hypocrites.
Yes.
And I don't want to be hypocritical. I want to be effective. So
Amen.
Project Bouncy Ball will be a one-stop shop for health and wellness, and it will be effective to the people who are desperately reaching out and need answers that they can't get.
I love
That's
it.
what we're going to do.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, guys, again, that's projectbouncyball.com. Go and check it out right now. Get your bouncy balls ordered, get them for your kids too, which, by the way, I'm going to have to get some more because our granddaughter, she loves them. She grabs them, she plays with them, and then they get lost. So,
Well, the other thing is they act as ammo. So when Don D does something wrong, you just throw it at him, bounce him in the back of the head. It's ammo that keeps coming back. It's like Nerf. It's like Nerf, but way cooler because you don't have to worry about getting poked in the eye because the ball's a very blunt object. You can just throw it back, but it keeps coming back. So I mean, as hard as you throw it, it'll come back. So you can throw it from the living room to the kitchen. Hey, if you lose the remote, you can throw it at the TV, change the channel. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it.
oh, okay. You're hilarious. All right, my friend. Well, I so appreciate your time today. And guys, I'm sure that you have gotten so much out of this episode. Please do us a favor, share this out with all of the people that you know, the people that you care about, the people that you know that might be struggling with something, because it just might have the answer or at least the light that person's looking for, seeing that someone's
Hey,
traveled the path before them and they can too. Yes, Matt, go
and
ahead.
and I and I'll throw this out there. My phone is always available. I don't know when if you can put that on there or not, or how you want to post that up there, but my email's matt@projectbouncyball.com. Please feel free to reach out in any capacity that you wish. I will always take a phone call. I'm not one of those people that go like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" No, I don't want any Girl Scout cookies, or I don't need my car insurance or my car warranty extended. I'm not that kind of guy. If you have a legitimate problem and you need a voice of reason, I don't care what time of the day it is, because I've been through some PTS deals where you get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's just not enough availability for people that they can reach out and grab it.
Yeah.
So I'll put it out there. If you need me or you want to just chat, I don't care if it's just a chat. Hey, I just need to be walked off the ledge. You call me, you email me, you text me, you do whatever you need to do. I'm available for those people. And those are the stepping stones of healing. When you know that you have somebody to reach out to, and unfortunately, there's just not a lot of that out there. You've been through it, you know it.
Yes, I do.
And if I can put that out to anybody, I graciously, hey, if you got to wake me up in the middle of the night, you wake me up in the middle of the night, because if that's the difference between you seeing the sunrise or not, I'll gladly watch the sunrise with you.
That's awesome. Well, and guys, you can always follow him on Facebook as well. He's there under Matthew Wolfe. That's Matthew with 2 T's. You can follow him, and he's very quick to respond to instant messages there on Messenger. So, Matt, thank you again. I so appreciate you, my friend. And thank you for this episode of You're a Cancer Diagnosis. What now? Thank
Um,
you.
I win. that's that's the answer right there. I win.
Amen. Amen.
Marcy, thank you very much.
You're very